Welcome to qnawire.
To find an inverse function, think of f of x as y, and then interchange the x and y so that you have x equals 2y minus 1 over y plus 1. And then you solve for y. One way to do this is to cross multiply the y plus 1, so you have x times y plus 1, and that's then equal to 2y minus 1. And then you can distribute the x to get xy plus x equals 2y minus 1. Then, since we want to solve for y, let's get the terms with y on the left side and the terms without y on the right side. So I'm going to subtract 2y and subtract the x to both sides, so equals negative x minus 1. And then you can factor the y out, leaving you with x minus 2. And I'm also going to factor out the negative, leaving us with x plus 1. And then you can divide by x minus 2, and you've solved for y. The negative of x plus 1 over x minus 2. So f inverse of x would be equal to the negative of x plus 1 over x minus 2. You could also say negative x minus 1 over x minus 2, because you could distribute that negative. And the next one, again, let g of x be y. So you have y equals x squared plus 2x minus 3. And then interchange x and y. So x equals y squared plus 2y minus 3. And then you need to solve for y. So one way to do this is to complete the square with the y's. So add 3 to both sides. And then completing the square with the y's, half of 2 on the 2y is 1, and 1 squared is 1. So you'll add 1 to both sides of the equation, stay balanced. And now you have x plus 4 equals, the reason for completing the square is you can now write the y's as a perfect square binomial. That would be y plus 1 squared, which now allows you to square root both sides of the equation. And so you get the square root of x plus 4 equals y plus 1. And then you subtract 1 to both sides, and you are solved for y. So the inverse function, inverse g, would be the square root of x plus 4 minus 1. For checking your answer, I'll leave that part to you, but you essentially need to find f of f inverse of x, and let that show that it's x, and the other way around too. F inverse of f of x should be equal to x. And likewise, g of g inverse of x is the same, should equal x, and g inverse of g of x should be equal to x, because one function should completely undo what the other function is doing.